for literally like something I did not do. Like it's and it goes back to like people just like attacking Jake Paul and like wanting to see me fail.
It hurts so bad. I'm in the hospital right now. I can't even close my mouth. I keep crying, bro.
Listen, the moment Jake Paul got basically kicked out by the World Boxing Association, that whole fantasy just crumbled. 14 days was all it took for this guy who thought he was destined for championship gold to watch his entire empire fall apart while the cameras rolled. This was the night everything shattered. His dreams disappeared, and his world would never look the same.
6, 7, 8, 9.
December 19th, 2025 had this heavy feeling hanging over it. Miami's Kaseya Center was buzzing with media, famous faces, serious hype, and millions glued to their screens, all wondering if Jake Paul's boxing journey was legit or just smoke and mirrors. Jake strutted in like he owned the place, carrying himself like someone who'd completely transformed from content creator to legitimate fighter. On the other side, Anthony Joshua stood there ice cold, totally unbothered by all the circus energy. That's trouble right there. That's serious trouble. Those opening rounds revealed something unsettling. Jake wasn't dictating the fight or imposing his will, and you could see that swagger slowly draining from his body language. Joshua moved with patience, hunting him down like he had hours to get the job done. The entire crowd sensed this shift happening in real time.
At the moment, not that much is going to happen. And it almost, there's a left hook.
The statistics were already telling the real story halfway through. Joshua connected on 48 shots out of 154 attempts, hitting at 33%. Meanwhile, Jake only found his target 16 times out of 56 tries, barely scraping 29%. Those numbers in boxing separate the hunters from the hunted. One guy was boxing to destroy. The other was just trying not to get destroyed.
Thought I would win against Anthony, but here I am with a broken jaw, learning the hard way. I'll heal.
Jake found himself constantly retreating, desperately defending, and draining his gas tank quick. He'd lost command of the ring and lost command of his own game plan. Somewhere along the way, he stopped hunting for the win and started praying for the final bell. That's exactly when reality crashed down on live TV. Round 6 arrived, and the bottom fell out completely. The first time Jake hit the canvas sent shockwaves through the building and rattled his mental state. The second trip to the floor brought pure panic, and the third one brought total devastation. Joshua's finishing right hand put Jake down for good. The ref jumped in and called it over. The roar from the crowd died instantly, replaced by this eerie quiet. Everyone realized they'd witnessed something that couldn't be undone. That moment didn't just stop a fight, it killed off one version of Jake Paul forever.
Boxing is not a game. Fighting is not something you pick up and mess around with, right? If you're a fighter, if you're a boxer, if you're a mixed martial artist, right, you have to take this seriously and you have to respect the game.
The cameras caught something strange afterward. He was grinning. People assumed it showed heart or sportsmanship. But the real story was much more disturbing. Jake's jaw had snapped in multiple places, and that grin was masking serious internal destruction. Inside the medical area, harsh reality set in quickly.
Smile! Smile!
Medical staff confirmed the breaks and rushed him straight into emergency surgery. They had to put titanium hardware inside to rebuild his jaw structure. He couldn't chew food properly, could barely talk, and sleep became nearly impossible during the healing process. This had moved way beyond boxing. This was about reconstructing a shattered face.
Look, that guy did great for someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade. He has had no real
The record books now showed additional losses beyond just the Tommy Fury defeat. That evening marked his first knockout defeat and second overall loss. His professional numbers read 12 wins, 2 losses, 7 knockouts. The stats looked decent enough on the surface, but psychologically and emotionally, the destruction went much deeper. His self-belief, his forward progress, and his entire future absorbed devastating damage.
It's showing his lower jaw, that's his mandible, and yes, it looks like it's broken in 2 places, and it's circled in these red circles. You can see this is his jaw. This is supposed to be sort of two continuous lines.
The true horror story began just 12 days after that. December 31st, 2025 brought the World Boxing Association's latest update. Jake Paul had been completely wiped from the cruiserweight rankings. The same guy who'd climbed to number 14 in July after demolishing Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was now a total ghost in the rankings. Those rankings represented everything to him. They were Jake's evidence that he deserved to be there. His pathway to legitimate title opportunities. Losing that spot wasn't just sliding backward. It was getting completely deleted. In this sport, being unranked equals zero power, no clear route forward, and absolutely no respect from the establishment.
Best shot at the moment. Not that much is going to happen. And it almost... Oh, there's a left hook. Oh,
This entire collapse happened in just 16 days. December 19th destroyed his physical body. December 31st wiped out his professional standing. The sport that had once embraced him suddenly turned ice cold, and January was about to freeze him out completely.
It happened in the 6th round, and it happened in a 22-foot ring. A typical ring is 20 foot. This one was 22 foot because he wanted a bigger room to operate, a bigger space, a bigger ring.
January 4th, 2026, delivered the Florida Athletic Commission's verdict on Jake's situation. They hit him with an indefinite medical suspension. The jaw damage was too extensive, and medical professionals wouldn't even guess when he might return. Indefinite means your future just got stolen from you. It means your career now belongs to bone healing, metal implants, and medical clearance.
Bro, he got hit with a bomb, a right-hand bomb.
When everything settled, this devastating truth emerged. In barely 14 days, Jake Paul dropped from legitimate ranked contender to medically banned and completely unranked fighter. His face was being held together by surgical metal, his aspirations were barely breathing, and his championship road had completely disappeared. Boxing didn't mourn for him or shield him, it just kept moving forward, and that abandonment stings the worst.
And look, AJ, he knew what was going to happen before the fight even took place. That's why he was so calm. And that's probably why in the first few rounds when Jake Paul's buzzing around like a fucking little bee, this is going to slow down.
By January 4th, 2026, the sport had reached its breaking point. The Florida Athletic Commission finally intervened like the tough teacher who enters the room after the students have already wrecked everything. Medical professionals didn't soften the blow and verified that Jake's jaw breaks were serious and risky. Just like that, Jake Paul received the most terrifying words in boxing: an indefinite medical suspension. Indefinite isn't some gentle term in this business. It doesn't mean grab a quick vacation and return refreshed. It means your career now belongs to medical scans.
Best shot at the moment. Not that much is going to happen. And it almost... Oh, there's a left hook. Oh,
He is stunned. He's not knocked out immediately, but if you look at the displacement of his jaw and the force that was in that punch, that is impressive. Doesn't look very staged to me.
So while keyboard warriors kept debating the fight online, Jake was stuck staring at hospital walls and legal documents. His jaw remained pieced together with surgical hardware, and the future he believed he controlled was suddenly frozen. Boxing doesn't send get-well cards, and it refuses to wait for anyone's emotional recovery. When that suspension landed, the message came through crystal clear and merciless. Your physical condition controls your career now. Then reality threw another haymaker. Jake's official professional record sat at 12 victories, 2 defeats, with 7 knockouts. Those numbers look solid on paper, until you remember what just went down. That defeat was his first knockout loss, and nothing transforms a fighter's image faster than getting slept on the biggest platform. The second loss destroyed all the momentum he'd accumulated since July, and no amount of marketing could repair it.
Never been better.
Yeah, he's absolutely crushing it.
Bring out the vodka.
Yeah, we're doing great in here. A double break in his lower jaw.
In July 2025 saw Jake moving like tomorrow was guaranteed to be his. January 2026 taught him how quickly dreams can die. The championship route he thought was mapped out had crumbled behind him like a burning overpass. That psychological damage hits harder than any power shot because it makes a fighter finally confront a nightmare question. What if the story ends here? This was the system fixing itself. The WBA's choice delivered a clear warning to celebrity boxing that this sport has boundaries, and those boundaries are written in pain and sacrifice. Falling from media favorite to medical victim represents one of the most crushing experiences in fighting. 1 month you're omnipresent, grinning, pushing dreams, and pay-per-view numbers. The following month you're unranked, suspended, and waiting for doctors to determine if her body still has a place in competition. Fame offered Jake no protection, and the sport refused to pause for him. Behind locked doors, the whispers got stronger. This marks the end of the Jake Paul experiment. Not some clickbait headline, not gossip, just this heavy feeling that filled the space. Boxing had finally slammed the door shut, and it didn't seem interested in opening it again anytime soon. So what remains of Jake Paul today? A guy with surgical metal in his face, and a future packed with uncertainties, a career that imploded in just 16 days and left him staring at ceilings instead of spotlights. The psychological cost of crashing this hard after soaring this high is something no highlight reel can prepare you for. The real fight now isn't inside the ring, it's inside his mind. Does he return knowing his body might fail him again? Should he even attempt it when the system has already abandoned him? Internet bravado is noisy, but boxing truth is quiet and ruthless. And then there's the isolation. The cameras stop ringing, the buzz disappears. The world continues while you sit alone with your thoughts and your damage. Falling from the spotlight this violently does something permanent to a fighter's spirit. When you trace the timeline, it almost seems impossible. December 19, 2025 saw his career destroyed under those bright lights. December 31, 2025 saw the rankings delete his future. January 4, 2026 saw the suspension seal his fate. That's 16 days from fantasy to catastrophe. Boxing doesn't care about your identity, your history, or your social media following. This sport only honors survival, and even that doesn't last forever. The legend of Jake Paul as the unbeatable crossover champion finally died. What survived was a fractured jaw, a fractured dream, and a locked door. No matter how hard you bang on it, boxing doesn't unlock doors for anybody. Jake Paul is fit.